Guys, what's up? It is 3 o'clock on a Tuesday. You already know what time it is. It is our weekly live stream. I hope everybody out there is doing great. I appreciate you so much for tuning in. Let's go ahead and dive right into some questions here. We'll go ahead and start right here at the top. MPJROS, you know I love those acronyms. So we are talking about Michael Porter Jr. for the rest of the season. This is a tough one. Michael Porter Jr. has been out for, we're approaching a month now. He's doubtful to play tonight against Memphis. So this is a really tough one. Obviously, before he got hurt, he was doing a lot of the same things that we liked from him 2 seasons ago. He was scoring, he was rebounding, he was hitting triples. Wasn't quite as efficient as we like to see him. And the defensive numbers obviously have come down just a little bit, from his peak a couple seasons ago. But I think once he can get healthy, I think we can really expect some good things from him. Rest of season, I think right now he's worth a good buy low. I would try to acquire Michael Porter Jr. if I could. I wouldn't give up too much for him, again, which is why we would consider him a buy low. But again, this has kind of been his issue, in 4 years in the NBA is just staying healthy. So as long as he's available, I think we can still expect some pretty good numbers. I love this question here. I've actually been kind of thinking about this a lot over the last, week or so, just because we are coming up on January. We're less than 2 months away from the trade deadline. For anybody that's new here or not familiar with the term silly season, silly season is right after the All-Star break, between All-Star break and end of season when, teams are tanking, trades have been made, and guys are essentially come out of the woodwork and win you fantasy championship. That's why we call it the silly season. So if we look at the bottom teams right now, I've kind of short list that I've kind of come up with, but I'd love to hear from you guys. You can hit me up on Twitter. You can drop it in the comments here. I would absolutely love to hear who you think is going to be this year's silly season hero. A couple of names that come to mind for me. The biggest one is Tari Eason. I think we've been expecting him to have a big season so far. He's had some really good moments. We haven't gotten any sort of consistency from him in terms of playing time. So he's been on the fringe of, do I hold him? Do I drop him? But we've seen some really good defensive moments. We've seen some really good scoring moments out of Eason. So he's my number one pick there. I think if we look at some other teams that are probably still going to be in the lottery come trade deadline time, we're going to be looking at the Spurs. If we're looking at the Spurs, a name that I like is Romeo Langford. This is his first season with San Antonio, and he's looked pretty good when given playing time. Nickeil Alexander-Walker from the Jazz. I know the Jazz started the season out competitively, and they may still, but I think they do end up moving a guy like Mike Conley or shutting him down. Jordan Clarkson may be a guy that could be on the move. So I think Nall could be definitely in line for some extra work. And we saw how he did recently, right, with some extra playing time, really balled out. And then another name from the Oklahoma City Thunder. I really, really have a difficult time trusting Daigneault's lineups, which is why Jalen Williams has not been a consistent guy recently, and a guy that I can necessarily trust to continue with his, any sort of regular production. But I think Jalen Williams, silly season hero, absolutely. And I think there's a number of guys on Oklahoma City we can think in that regard. 10-team categories, Bowl, a hold with Carter coming back, Fultz worth adding for Bowl. At this point, I think Fultz is worth the add over Bowl. Fultz is a top 35 guy here over the last week. He's really been putting up some great all-around production. If it came down to those two, I think I would add Fultz and drop Bowl if that's what it came down to. We'll wait and see when Carter does end up coming back. Until Carter comes back, you can continue to stream Mo Wagner. But if you're tuning into this show, I'm sure you probably already knew that. Any update on Tyrese Maxey? Not that I know of right now. If we're talking about Sixers, though, Shake Milton, if you're still holding on to him, he's a drop with Harden back. Should I stay patient with Jalen Smith? His minutes have declined tremendously over the 2 weeks. Should I stay patient and keep the faith in a Turner trade? I'm sitting at second in my division with 16 teams. Nice work sitting at second. That's great. But again, this is such a very strange season for fantasy basketball already. There's a lot of guys that have started the season out very slowly, a lot of busts, a lot of injuries, a ton of injuries to notable players. So I don't think you can really sit and be patient with too many guys, and Jalen Smith is not one of them. He has, top 75 upside, but he doesn't have early round upside, and those aren't the type of guys that you need to be patient with. So no, if we look at the splits here, wrote some numbers down. If we look at the splits over the last 4 games, we're looking at Aaron Nesmith. He has played 27 and a half minutes over his last 4 games, started 3 of those games, compared to Smith, who's averaged just 13.8 minutes. So Nesmith has had double the amount of minutes that Smith has had. Nesmith has been a top 55 guy. Jalen Smith has been just outside the top 180 in that span. It seems like that's the trend they're rolling with. Nesmith looks great. There was some rumblings earlier in the season that, it might be hard for Smith to stay consistent with his minutes. He looked great to start, and now they're kind of rolling with some different lineups. So no, I think you can drop Jalen Smith. It's, RIP. We'll salute him. We'll pour one out, but unfortunately, yeah, he can be a drop. He was a guy that I really liked in the preseason. But yeah, it looks like it's drop time now. Drop the big ragu. That's Dante DiVincenzo or Nas for the rest of the week. I'd hang on to Nas. I mean, Nas has 2 more games. So does DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo's hurt right now, obviously. But Nas Reed, over his last 4 games, he's a top 60 player. He's scored at least 27 points in 2 of his last 3. We know what he can do with playing time, with Rudy hurt, with Slow-Mo hurt, obviously with Towns out. This is Nas's Nas's backcourt, this is Nas's front court. I was going to say backfield. I'm kind of thinking in football mode at this point. But no, this is Nas's front court right now. So get nasty, hang on to him. I'm worried about Pirtle and WCJ, Wendell Carter Jr. rest of season. Should I look to trade them? Yeah, these are very concerning. Pirtle is a little bit concerning. Wendell Carter is the one that's been a bit more concerning for me, just because obviously Pirtle's back. Pirtle missed, almost, I guess just a little over 2 weeks, I should say. Wendell Carter Jr., we expected him back a lot sooner, and his injuries have just really, really lingered. So at this point with Wendell Carter, we're going all the way back to November 18th was the last time he played a game. Ben's been a great streamer. Bobo has been Mo Bamba has seen some extra run as well. But yeah, with Wendell Carter, this is definitely concerning. His first 2 seasons in the league, he only combined for 77 games. He played 54 in his 3rd season, 62 last year. Obviously, when he broke out in his first season with Orlando, his first full season. So yeah, he's another guy that health is absolutely concerning. I would wait until he comes back. Maybe has a good game or 2, and then trade him if you're worried about the injuries. I think that's a legitimate concern. I would be surprised if you could get fair value for him now while he's still not playing. Should I drop Bull in a points league? It depends on who the other options are at this point. But yeah, it's been disappointing for Bull here recently. He started out the season so hot. He has played so well. But yeah, it's been a rough week for him. The block numbers have not been there. He has over his last 4 games, he has a total of 2 blocks, which driving a huge portion of his value. The minutes are down. He's played 22 minutes or fewer in his last 3 games. Again, it depends on the other options available. Because this guy can go off for 20 and 10 and a pair of blocks on any given night. So this is just a matter of your league. The upside is still there, but it's definitely concerning. Oh man, would I trade Jalen Green for Fultz in 9 cat? This is the sad thing is this is not a runaway. Jalen Green is way more of the well-known commodity, the name recognition, the draft capital that you spent to acquire. And Fultz was a late round flyer pick, probably went undrafted in most of your leagues. And Jalen Green was a guy that got taken in the 50s and 60s in some places. But yeah, I think Fultz offers the most all-around upside just because of his skill set. You're getting 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists for Jalen Green with very poor field goal percentage, very not great free throw percentage, pretty high turnovers. With Markelle Fultz, you're getting elite rebounds, you're getting elite, assists, and you don't necessarily worry too much about the points because Fultz can still score, but points are much easier to find than assists and rebounds are on the waiver wire. So I think you could fetch more for Jalen Green than just Markelle Fultz. But when it comes down to it, do I think Fultz has the better fantasy finish the rest of the way? I would have to say yes. I think name recognition kind of blinds us sometimes, but if we're just looking at the resume and the overall kind of well-rounded stat set, yeah, I think Fultz probably has the better season as long as he can stay healthy. Another question about Fultz. Yeah, he's a hot name right now, obviously. Will he keep up the production? Is he worth holding in 10-team, even with Suggs, Carter soon back in the mix? Who's more worth the hold, Bowl or Fultz? I think it's going to be Fultz. Another Bowl or Fultz question. It'll be Fultz. I'm not too worried about Suggs. Obviously, Suggs is a great player. I don't think he's tremendous for fantasy hoops. I think, we can enjoy the steals. We can enjoy some of the scoring sometimes, but just all around, Fultz is, and this is with Cole Anthony too, Fultz is he's really the only true point guard here. Suggs is a score-first guard. Cole Anthony is a score-first guard. Fultz is that true point guard that Orlando, I think, is going to rely on. And he's the guy that has the most upside in this backcourt. It's just a matter of staying healthy and getting the minutes. And we've seen the minutes creep up. Just let's make sure he can stay on the court. So tired of MPJ. Yeah, it's exhausting, Chris Powers. I totally understand you, brother. Trade PJ Washington for MPJ in a 14-team roto. Oh man, this is that's a good question. I think yes. I think I would make that move. I think PJ Washington is a fringe top 100 guy right now who can disappoint you at times. I think Michael Porter Jr. is worth the upside. So I would make that move. Swing for the fences. Can you rank Josh Hart, Duren, Walker, Kessler, Tommy B, both now and rest of season? Yeah, now and rest of season it'll be Duren. I think after that, right now it's going to be Tommy B. After that, it'll be Walker and then Josh Hart. That'll be for right now. Rest of season, I like Kessler better than Thomas Bryant because we're thinking that Anthony Davis will be back. Comment here, Jalen Williams. I'm assuming this is silly season hero. Another silly season question. You guys are looking ahead. Eason, Isaiah Jackson, Walker Kessler. Yeah, I think Walker Kessler, the only reason I didn't include him here is because he's been pretty solid right now. Isaiah Jackson was a silly season hero before, and I can absolutely see him being one again. I'm very curious if Miles Turner gets traded. He's been on the trade block seemingly his entire career, so we'll see if this finally gets done. Until then, we'll see what happens with Isaiah Jackson. AD for anyone in the top 100? No. Cut the nonsense out with Anthony Davis. Hang on to him. Throw him in IL. Say a couple rosaries and just roll with it. I mean, for right now, pick up Thomas Bryant, pick up Walker Kessler, get Duran. I mean, I know those guys are going to be hard to acquire now, but pick up somebody that can fill in. Pick up Naz Reid. Make do right now. Anthony Davis he has the most upside of anybody in the top 100 right now. Nobody else is going to get you 30 and 15 with multiple blocks, multiple steals, solid assists, can shoot the 3-ball, good field goal percentage, decent free throw percentage. Nobody else has that skill set. Another MPJ. Would I trade for him? Yes, I said it earlier in the show. He's worth a buy low. Absolutely. Looking for a 3 and steal streamer for today. Oladipo and Bones seem to stand out. Maybe Craig or Grimes. Who would you prefer? Yeah, in this case, I'm going to go with Oladipo. He has 8 steals over his last 2 games, and he's played at least 30 minutes in both of those games. So he's the guy that I'm going to roll with right now. He's not going to be fantastic for you for threes, but steals are a little bit harder to come by, so I would roll with him. Quentin Grimes a hold. Yeah, Quentin Grimes is a hold. He's an ad. He's a acquire. Quentin Grimes, I usually do a little bit of note-taking before I jump on the stream just for some notable guys that kind of stood out to me over the last week since we did this. What I wrote down for Grimes, he started 14 straight games, 10.6 points, 4.6 rebounds, 2.4 assists, 1 steal, 1.8 triples, shooting nearly 50% from the floor. That's a great fantasy player to have. That's a pretty well-rounded stat set that you'd like. And again, anybody that's getting you steals, threes, rebounds, points, shooting efficiently, that's a guy that absolutely you want on your fantasy team. Should I consider trading LaMelo? He's been balling, right? Should I consider selling him high? I think most players, if you can sell high, absolutely do it. And LaMelo Ball, he's another guy that I'm still iffy on him for the injuries. So if you can sell him high, he's a guy that I absolutely would. What is Scotty's ceiling? Like, he's performing, underperforming, sell high as soon as he has a great game. So I'm assuming we're talking about Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes this guy has been very disappointing. Rookie of the year last year, falling back to earth on the season, ranked just outside the top 100. Obviously, we saw how great he could be last year. I think his ceiling is, a top 50 or 60 guy. He has not lived up to that this season. What we're seeing from him, he's shooting under 45%. I think that can improve. The free throw percentage, 75%. That can come up just a little bit. The assists, 4.6 assists for a forward. I think that's great. The steals and blocks, he's, combining for 1.5 of those. That can come up. Minutes, 33.6. We'd hope in a Nick Nurse lineup he'd get a few more minutes than that and kind of boost those stats a little bit. Rebounds, 6.6. I think that can come up. So I think we can see those numbers come up for sure. It's just he's underperformed, like you mentioned. I think if he has a phenomenal game, I think absolutely you can consider selling him high. As with most players, you can consider selling him high. But obviously Toronto may be in a position where they try to blow things up and they hang on to Scotty, and maybe they hang on to Pascal, maybe they hang on to OG, or maybe they just blow things up and hang on to Scotty, and he's the last man standing in a rebuild, and he just gets phenomenal minutes and usage. At this point, if you could sell high, do it. Otherwise, you're just going to have to hold and just kind of deal with the underperforming at the moment. Royce has fallen off a bit lately. His minutes are still up. Is he still a hold? Yeah, he's still a hold. I still think it's going to be tough to find. It's going to be tough to find somebody that sees 35 plus minutes a night. He's ranked outside the top 100 on the season. If we look at him over the last week, if we pull up his numbers here, I'm just going to grab that real quick. He's outside the top 200 over the last week. I would still hold him for another couple of games if the production is still not, if it's still taking a hit. There are some guys who play a lot of minutes and just, they go out there and get some cardio in. I mean, I'm not calling Royce O'Neal Tony Snell, obviously, but he was never a fantastic fantasy guy when he was with Utah, and he played big minutes for them as well. I think give him another game or two. And if the production just isn't there, then absolutely, he's worth cutting. Any guy outside the top 100 is not necessarily to hold. Just picked up Duran to try and get more blocks. Missed on Kessler. Anyone else to target? Bowl was cool for a minute, but he's been pretty maddening of late. Thoughts on Bowl and blocks in general? Yeah, I'm sorry about Bowl. He's a guy that I really, really loved and I really thought was going to, keep up his stellar production. It just hasn't happened right now. I still think Bowl is worth hanging on to. I think it's going to be tough to find, anybody else that maybe has that kind of upside. Some other guys that are getting a lot of blocks right now. It's such a scarce category to find on the waiver wire. Oh man, I'm just trying to think of anybody that might be available for you on the waiver wire that might have a decent shot at getting you some blocks. The only other guy that comes to mind who might be available for you right now with Clint Capella out, Jalen Johnson. Minutes are absolutely unreliable at this point. He played less than 15 in his last game, but he's had a block in 3 straight. He has 7 blocks over his last 3 games. So that's a guy that I might consider if I'm really looking to grab some blocks. Steven Adams has turned it on recently, and there's a chance he may still be available if you're able to grab him. But that's just such a tough category right now. So unless you're able to find somebody phenomenal off the waiver wire, you're going to have to hold out on Bowl. Tommy B, rest of season, if AD injury is serious. Tommy B is worth an ad right now. He's a priority ad right now. Over his last 3 games, 17.7 points, 7 boards, 1.3 assists, 1 steal, 0.3 blocks, 1.7 triples, over 60% shooting. He's going to be great for the month that AD is going to be out, and anybody that is going to give you production for an entire month, he's a priority ad for you. If AD ends up missing rest of season, Thomas Bryant could be awesome. Again, he's another one of these guys like a Michael Porter Jr. and Markelle Fultz, where health is the only thing that's really stood in their way of being great fantasy players. Sohan or Pat Wheel rest of season in a roto league. 2 defensive-minded forwards, who are they're better real-life guys than they are fantasy guys, right? But if we're just talking upside for this season, rest of season, it's going to be Pat Wheel for sure. Got a lot of acronyms today. So CAT, rest of season, Karl Anthony Towns. He was really starting to put it together before he got hurt. So once he comes back, as long as he is fairly healthy, I think we can continue to count on more of the same. XV Joe Z no. I'm not sure if somebody slapped the keyboard on this one or if this is another acronym that I'm not aware of, but we'll move on to the next one here. Would I trade away Sexton or Mike Conley? If you can get a good player in return, absolutely. In the leagues that I'm in, I can't imagine anybody giving me anything great for either guy. Points league, 10-team Fultz on the waiver pickup. Drop Cole Anthony or Ivy or Ivey. Actually, I like that. Ivey. That's a cool way of saying Jaden Ivey. I would drop Cole Anthony for Fultz, sure. Jabari Smith hit the waivers in my league. Would you drop Bowl or Hayes for him? I'm assuming this is Killian Hayes. I would drop Bowl and grab Jabari Smith in a heartbeat, and I would have done that yesterday. Hurry up and make that move. Hopefully, anti-talent, you're listening to this right now. You can make that move before somebody else snags him. Is Johnny Isaac someone we should keep an eye on? Seems like he's close to a return. Keep an eye on him, but, kind of sleep with one eye open on that one because I'm not entirely sure which eye we want to keep on him. And I'm still not sure what his upside is when he comes back because the front court has loaded up here in Orlando. They spent a number 1 pick on Paolo. Obviously, Wendell Carter, when he's healthy. Mo Bamba broke out last year. Bol is breaking out this year. Wendell Carter broke out last year. You've had three guys break out and one number 1 pick who looks like a lock for Rookie of the Year all come out within the span of Jonathan Isaac's absence. So where's he going to fit into this rotation? And for a guy that hasn't played in 2.5 seasons, how much workload are they going to give him, especially in a lost season and especially with so many options available? Keep an eye on him, but I'm tempering expectations. I don't think he's a guy that's going to have value in 10 or 12 team leagues. I think he's more a guy for 14, 16 or deeper leagues, and I question what his value is going to be in those leagues either. Hey, okay, let's see. I about started reading the question without actually clicking on it. Hey, Zach, would you trade Maxey, AJ Griffin, Dyson Daniels, and a first for Beal and Middleton in a 10 cat? Oh, okay. All right, there we go. There's the other piece. I was really wondering if this was dynasty. Okay, because then I was like, this is kind of strange. Yes, in a dynasty league, would I trade Maxey, AJ Griffin, Dyson Daniels, and a first for Beal and Middleton? No, I wouldn't. I know Beal and Middleton are more win now players. Tyrese Maxey, we still haven't seen the best of him. He can still be an early to mid round guy this season when he comes back. I think AJ Griffin has some long-term upside. I think Dyson Daniels has some long-term upside, and a first-round pick is very valuable in a fantasy hoops league. If this was a second-round pick, we might have a different discussion. But a first-round pick, no, I think that's too rich for me. I will say if you're trying to win now, if you just need 1 or 2 more players this season, sure, I think that's fine. If you want to win now, go for the win. But in a vacuum, or if you're rebuilding or not in contention this year, no, hang on to your guys. Should I drop Zubac? No, I don't think you should drop Zubac right now. Obviously he's injured. He practices, at least he's supposed to practice today. That was the last update we got from him. So I think he should be back soon. And, prior to he's only been out for 2 games, right? So prior to his injury, he was averaging 10-10 with over 1.5 blocks. This has been the best season of his career. So no problem. Trade Bowl and Jay Hart for MPJ. Sure. Swing for the fences. Should I trade for Halliburton? Yeah, Halliburton's a guy that I kind of sort of like. I think he's fine. So, yeah, absolutely. Trade for Halliburton. Should I drop Sexton or Killian Hayes for Olynyk? I would drop Sexton for him, sure. Yeah, naughty Nicky Richards. Yes, naughty Nicky Richards, rest of season. Here's another guy. This is a great comment. Thanks, Carlos, because this may be a silly season guy as well. A name that I hadn't even thought of because, Charlotte is kind of in the front of our minds as being a decent team. Charlotte sucks this year. They're really bad. I can't see them being in contention at all. Naughty Nicky may be a guy that, and we've seen it from him before. We've seen 15, 13 games. We've seen, him get some blocks in there. We've seen him crash the glass. He's a guy that's really interesting as a silly season guy. So add him to the name silly season hero perhaps. Pokushevsky for blocks, unreliable minutes, though. Yeah, Poku's an interesting one for blocks. That's a great point, man. I just didn't include him because the block numbers are, again, they fluctuate based on his minutes. And as you said, his minutes are quite unreliable. Over the last week, if we look at Poku's production, he's not even cracking our top list of. Let me look here. I have to pause sometimes. I have some numbers in my head and some numbers I do have to go to the stat sheet here. Yeah, so over the last week, 1 block a game. So that's fine, right? I just with the rest of what he brings, the low field goal percentage I think could hurt you. The low free throw percentage could hurt you. I'm not necessarily sure if what Poku brings to the table is something you want. If you're targeting blocks, you might not necessarily want that drag on your percentages. But yeah, that's a great point, man. Thanks, Zach. Enjoy your holidays. Thanks a lot. Yeah, no problem, man. I hope you enjoy your holidays too. Do you think the Wizards will start tanking? It's disappointing, man. I root for the Wizards. I live not too far outside of D.C., so I always root for them. They're kind of like a hometown team. We took the kids to see their first game not too long ago when they faced the Grizzlies. It was a lot of fun. So I root for them. We're going to be going back to see them again here, not too long from now. They were really doing well when we went to see them. They were in the middle of, I think they went 5-1 or 6-1 in their homestand. They had a really long extended homestand. And now they're at 11-20. They've just really, things have really gone sour for them. They've lost 10 in a row. So I don't know. I think if we get too much more of this, I think they probably will start tanking. I don't see the upside for them to continue just kind of rolling in mediocrity. I think in seasons past they should have tanked as well. Because for a while they were always that team that was 6, 7, 8 seed, knocked out in the first or second round. When John Wall was there, they had some productive seasons and even won a playoff series. But yeah, I think before too long, if they start, continue to lose more games, it'll be a tank job for sure. Drop Bold for Sexton? I don't think so. Drop Bold for Neesmith? Sure. Zach Levine, and the Bulls organization not seeing eye to eye. Yeah, I saw that today. Yeah, that was interesting. DeMar and him can't get along, I guess, so sell high. I guess no more knee problems. Yeah, and maybe knee problems translates to pissed off at organization, pissed off at DeRozan. I'm not sure. Yeah, if you can sell him high, sure. It's not like he's been super productive on the court anyway. It's not like he's been an early round guy like we expected anyway. Bigger game tonight, Bam or DeRozan? Let's see here. I got to look at the schedule here. I can't remember who they're playing. They're playing each other, which is probably why you asked, right? They offer totally different skill sets, right? If I had to predict who ends up having the better night tonight, these are always so tough. Give me DeRozan tonight. Trey Jones, Josh Hart, or Walker Kessler to fit the final roster spot. I think Trey Jones has the fewest question marks. He's been the most consistent throughout the season. Do I think Gobert's injury is a long-term one? I'm not sure. We haven't gotten those type of updates yet. Obviously, he's missed a few games already, but I do think it would be prudent for you to add somebody like a Naz Reid right now, and just in anticipation of that. Would you rather stream IQ, Jordan Goodwin, or Derek White for low-key guard help this week? That is a good question. So we're looking at Quickly from the Knicks, Goodwin from the Wizards, Derek White from the Celtics. If we take a look at schedules, Boston has 3 games the rest of the week. New York, they have 4 games the rest of the week. And Washington has 3 games the rest of the week. I think for me, I think it's going to have to be Emmanuel Quickly. And all 4 of their games are going to be at home, right? So he'll be playing at Madison Square. They play Golden State. Let's see, Golden State is tonight, right? Yeah, Golden State tonight, Toronto Wednesday. Friday they got Chicago. Sunday they have Philly. None of these matches are too, they're not super intimidating, I don't think. So for me, it'd be Quickly. You can squeeze that extra game out of him. 10-team, 10-cat, pick 2 to drop. Hart, Kessler, or Vando. Hart, Kessler, or Vando? That is a great question. So I think Hart is going to be one of your drops. I think Hart and Vando are going to be the drops. I think they're all – sorry, I'm not always super quick on these. I just want to take my time here and think about it. I think they're all fairly similar on their rebounding numbers, around the 8 to 9 range, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Kessler offers the most upside as far as blocks and field goal percentage. So he's the guy that I would prefer here. Clint Killian side or OG. Even with the injury, I prefer OG. Thanks, Zach. Great job. Happy holidays. Same to you, my friend. Thank you for tuning in. Brolo and KPJ or Rozier and Randall. Another tough one here. I think I prefer the Rozier side by a hair. Got offered Jokic for Giannis and Levine. What's your take? Trade Giannis and Levine. I think Giannis straight up for Jokic, you would be the winner in that trade. And I think Levine, especially with what we heard kind of about him feuding with the Bulls organization and just his decline in play this season, I think he's more of a – I hate to call him a throw-in because of his huge upside, but at this point I think he would be the throw-in for Jokic, and Jokic is clearly far and away the best player in that deal. Jokic 36, 17, and 9 over the last 3 games. That's just ungodly, almost 4 steals a game in that span. Give me Jokic. Sell high on KP and Beal if the Wizards start tanking. Yeah, I think so. I think the Wizards lose a couple more games, and you'll want to start considering trading those guys for sure. Okay. Got time for just a couple more here, guys. I got to wrap this one up a little bit early. Have a Christmas pageant for my daughters tonight for their preschool, so got to start getting ready for that. Head out the door. Traded away Joker and Unicorn. I'm assuming that's Kristaps Porzingis, who was just mentioned in the last question. Traded away Jokic and KP for Dame and AD. Big fail. Laugh out loud. I don't think it's a big fail. This is the same thing like last week. I got asked, would I trade Jaylen Brown for AD? And I said, yes, 100 times out of 100 times you accept the injury risk. And, of course, 5 days after that stream, or 3 days after that stream, AD's out for a month, right? So these things happen. It's unfortunate in sports, but, that's just the way it goes, right? I think would I have made that deal to begin with just based on the injury histories of Dame and AD? Maybe not, but it's always easy in hindsight to look back and say, oh, I wouldn't have done that. This is a swing for the fences type of deal. You were going for AD, who's been playing out of his mind, better than maybe we've even seen him in New Orleans when he was at his peak. So it's a big fail in hindsight, but when you made the deal and all things equal and everybody healthy, no, not a big fail. Still hopes for Nance Jr. rest of season. Still hopes. Know he's a little banged up right now, but yeah, still hopeful. Oh, Conchar the Conqueror. I've been calling him, my little brother calls him Magic Conchar, just for SpongeBob reference. But Conchar the Conqueror, that's a dope nickname. I love that. I'm going to have to snag that. So I appreciate that one. Is Conchar the Conqueror a hold for anything other than Memphis injury contingency? No, he's a guy that you can drop for somebody with more upside. I think in more competitive or deeper leagues, he still could flirt with top 100 value even when guys are healthy. So, at least until Bain comes back, he's worth holding on to. Otherwise, yeah, you can drop him for, someone else with a little bit more upside that we've mentioned on the show. Onions here. Thanks for recommending. There he is. There he is. I just mentioned you, man, without even seeing your comment. Dude, I thought about you as soon as I saw that injury. I said, damn, I just recommended this guy make that Jaylen Brown trade. So, brother, or sister, whoever you are, Onions, I don't know what, if this is who you are. I am sorry for that recommendation. I really am. I try not to harp too much on these because at the end of the day, it's your team, it's your decision. But you specifically asked me, would you make this deal? And I would have. If I was in your position, I would have made this deal, but it doesn't stop the hurt, doesn't stop the bleeding. So I am sorry. I appreciate you reaching out and being a good sport about it. So thank you for that. I hope you are in a good position to roll through from here. But yeah, that is super rough. All right, I'm going to go for two more. Is Wood for real or just because the Mavs have nobody? I don't think he's particularly a great real-life fantasy or a real-life basketball player. I don't think he's a fantastic fantasy option. The Mavs don't have anybody. But again, even when, even with them not having anybody, he's still mostly just a points and rebounds guy. I don't see there being a ton of additional value from him. SGA or FEV rest of season, afraid of SGA shutdown. That's a legitimate concern, but it's SGA. Please rank Duren, Kessler, Bruce Brown. I think I think you've ranked them already. That's the order I would go in. Thanks. Happy holiday. Happy holiday to you too. All right, one more question. Good thing his name is Onions. He gives him it. Yeah, I know. Not trying to pile on. That's oof. All right, last question. Do you think Zach Collins takes over in San Antonio? Pirtle gets traded before the deadline? Yes, I think that's probably more of a possibility. I think that's probably more likely than not. But even with, extra opportunities, Zach Collins in the driver's seat, we still didn't see enough from him to really be too valuable of a guy in a 12-team league. So I wouldn't be clamoring to pick up Zach Collins. All right, guys, this is going to end the stream after about, we got in almost 45 minutes. We got in a ton of questions here. If I missed you, if I didn't get to your question, if you're just logging in late and want to ask some questions, you can follow me on Twitter at Zach the Monster. You can see it right here next to my name. You can shoot me a DM. You can just mention me in a comment. I'm usually pretty active on there and try to get to as many of these as I can. Before next Tuesday, I just want to wish you guys a happy holiday, whether you celebrate or don't, whatever holiday you're involved in, or if you're just enjoying time with family and some vacation from work, that's awesome. I'll be enjoying more of the same myself. I will be back here next Tuesday at 3 o'clock, as always, to answer some questions. Take care, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. See ya.